Hey guys, welcome back. So this video is gonna be the most important video of this series. Well, I keep saying this thing in all the videos. You are going to hate me for this, but well, this video is going to be really important because here we are going to understand one of the most important concept of Spring called auto-wiring, right? So auto-wiring, how it works in XML. What about the Autowire annotation? There are so many questions, right? So that's the question that you keep on asking me in each of my Spring videos, and also I have got a lot of emails from you guys, saying that when you are going to publish the auto-wiring video. So this is the video for you guys, and we are going to do a whole lot of things today. So we're going to learn how to configure auto-wiring in the Spring XML file. Also, we're going to understand that how to configure auto-wiring in the Java side by using the @autowire annotation, and also we're going to understand the @qualifier annotation in this particular video. So in this video we're going to use a little bit of annotation kind of stuff as well, and we're going to get started with annotation in Spring, right? So there are a lot of good things in the store. Hopefully you guys are excited, and I'm really excited for this particular video, and I hope that it is going to help you guys a lot, right? So this video, you are done means your life will be 100% easy. Trust me this time, right? This is the important video, and this video you are done. That means you are almost good in Spring Code framework, right? Nobody can stop you. So here we go. So let's go for the tutorial then. Alright guys, so right now I hope you guys can see my screen here, and if you are, then what to wait for? We can get started with our coding, right? So I do have a project here called Spring Autowiring Qualifier. So this is the project name that I've given over here, and as always I do have a package here, and I do have a bins.xml file that I have copied from my previous project. So in this time, let me rename this particular package name to com.seleniumexpress.autowire and hit OK, and there you go, right? So I do have a phrase package over here, and right now we're going to create few classes and we're going to deal with the auto-wiring stuff. But before that, let's make our basic stuff ready, right? I'm going to create a very fresh example over here, and that example that I'm going to follow throughout this entire video, right? So anybody is watching this video who haven't completed my earlier stuff like IOC, like setter injection, constructor injection, and dependency kind of stuff, then this video is going to be difficult. Let me tell you, auto-wiring is very easy if you understood those things previously, right? So if you haven't watched them, then please go and watch that first and come back and watch this video, right? It is going to be very easy if you understood them, but I know you have completed that, and let's go ahead, right? I don't want to talk this things which doesn't make any sense, right? So let me create a class here. Let's say my class name is human, right? So let's do some fun stuff today. Okay, so I have a class called human here, and let's say this human does have a dependency, and the dependency name is hot, right? So I'll write private and hot, right? So this human class does have a dependency called hot, and okay, so right now Eclipse is complaining, right? He's saying, okay, you don't have a class called hot, right? So I'll say Eclipse, okay, you create one for me. So I'll just do what? Create class hot here, and I'll go ahead and finish this thing. Okay, so so right now I do have a class here called hot, and here in this hot class I'll just have a simple method as usual, public void pump, because hot is going to pump, right? If it is pumping, then I can say sys out and I'll say pumping, and let's say your hot is pumping, right? And I'll put another sys out here, sys out, and I'll say live. Okay, Just having some fun here. Okay, so right now this is my heart class, and this heart is a dependency for the human, right? Okay, so right now how to inject the value for this heart, right? So for this dependency, I'm going to inject the object to that by using a setter injection. So I'll go to source, I'll create generate getters and setters, and I want only the setters, and I'll hit OK, right? So right now I do have a setter here, and I'll write a simple method public void, let's say start pumping, oops, pumping. Okay, what happens to my typing skill? Okay, so right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to call the heart class pump method using the heart reference, right? So this is the reference that I do have over here, and this reference will get the value by using a setter injection, right? See, the Spring is going to do the injection by using the setter method, right? So let's configure our bins.xml file. So if I'll go to bins.xml file, here I do have a very simple bins.xml file that I have copied from my last project, and this looks very familiar to you right now, I know. So right now, first of all, how many objects we are dealing with over here? One is human object. For this we need to create the object, and the second object is inside the human there is another bean, there is an inner bean that this human depends upon, that is heart. So two objects, one is human object, one is heart object. So let's go to the bins.xml file and let's configure our object. First of all, I need to create a bean, and this bean ID I'll give as heart because let's say human. Okay, this is the human object, and for the human the class name is what? I'll go to the human class and I will copy the qualified name over here, and there you go. And if I go to bins.xml file, I'll do a control V and that's it. Okay, so I have configured the bean for human, bean object as usual, right? So right now this human has another dependency. So right now let's set the dependency for the human so that whenever Spring will create the object for human, it will also inject the dependency, right? So right now I have to set the dependency for the human. Okay, so if I'll not set it, so then try right now. Okay, so I'll go to the my Autowire project. I'm going to create a new class over here, and let's say my class name is buddy. Okay, and here let's say in the buddy class I have a main method. So write main, control space, and there you go, I have a main method right now. And right now what I want to do, first of all, I need to read my XML file. So I'll do what? I'll do application context context equal to class path XML application context, and here I need to provide my beans.xml file, the file from where I'm reading everything. So this is my beans.xml file, and as you can see, this is the file name, and I am providing this particular file name in my body.java, right? And there you go. And after this, okay, I skipped the new keyword here, new class path application context, and there you go. And after this I'll do context.getBean, and I want to get the bean for what? My bean name is what? My bean name is human. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it over here, and this human bean belongs to which class? Human class, right? So human.class, right? So right now this getBean method is going to give me what? The human class object, right? Because this is the class file, that is human.class. Obviously it is going to give me the human class object, right? So human, and there you go, right? Simple. We're going so quick right now, but I know you will not have any problem. So right now I'm going to call the human class which method? Human class which method? Human class start pumping method. If I call this particular method, I can expect that this pump method will be get called. I came into the heart class pump method, and this pump method should execute, and this particular value will be display in the console, right? So let's see that is happening or not, right? So let me go back, and let me go back to my body.java, and I need to call this particular method called start pumping. I already got the human class object, so I'll do human.start pumping. Okay, there we go. Let's run it, and you should get an exception. Yeah, there you go, null pointer exception, because right now this particular object does not have any value. This reference does not have a object because we haven't configured it yet. So just to make it more fun, what I'm going to do, I'm going to execute this particular method when the heart object is not equal to null. At that time only execute this particular method, okay? Otherwise don't execute, otherwise else let's say sys out, let's say you are dead. Oops, so scary. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do, if I go to my body.java class, if I'm going to run this particular application, okay, you are dead. Okay, so right now our job is to inject the object for this. If we are going to inject the heart object, right, if we are going to implement the heart, we are programmers, we are engineers, let's be a doctor and implement the heart object to this heart variable, right, then we're going to be alive. So okay, so right now let's go to bins.xml file, and I'm going to configure the dependency over here. Mark over here what I'm doing, right, because it's very important. So right now there is a property. Okay, why I'm writing property? Because this is a property here and I'm going to inject the property by using the setter injection. So this is my property, I'm going to command C it, I'm going to go to bins.xml file, I'm going to paste the property here and I'm going to give it a ref, right? So ref equal to, so I'll define another bin here because this heart is what? This heart is a class, this heart is a object that we are going to create for the class, right? And how we create the object in Spring? We create the object in Spring by using the bin tag, right? So let's create another object, bin id equal to, let's say id equal to heart, and the class is equal to, I need the fully qualified name of the heart class. I'm going to command click over here, I'll go to the heart class, I'll do a right click, copy qualified name, come to the bins.xml, paste the fully qualified name of the heart class, right? There you go. So this is my ID. I'm going to command say it. If you're getting confused, let's say heart object, right? That's simple. So right now this is the object for my heart. So this is the class, and for this particular object this is the reference, something like heart object equal to new heart. And right now I'm going to pass this heart object to this ref attribute, right? Very simple. If you understand the last tutorial, this will be nothing, right? So there you go. So can I end the property by clicking this here? Yes, right? So I just given a slash over here and that is gone. So this is how we are setting the dependency right now, right? So our human object, whenever you are creating the human object, there is a dependency called heart. Inject that object as well, and we explicitly configuring this property over here. We have done it and we have manually configured this heart dependency over here inside this human bin. Very simple, right? So now Spring, when it is going to create the human object, it is going to see, okay, there is a dependency called heart, and for this dependency it is going to inject this particular object. This object belongs to what? The heart class, and for the heart object only this is going to inject to the variable heart. So this will get the heart object and your program will run fine, right? So let's do that. If I'll go to body.java right now and if I'm going to run it, so let's say, oh, your heart is pumping alive. Congratulations. So we have successfully injected the heart object. Okay, we have successfully injected the heart object to its respective variable, right? And we have done it by using the dependency injection feature of Spring, by setting the property over here heart and giving it a reference. It is as simple as that. And you might be questioning me right now, hey Abhilash, why you are saying me this again? You already told me this. Yeah, there the fun part come, because from now You don't need to set the property explicitly. Spring is going to do it for you. So what I mean by that? Okay, so let's understand in this way, right? So right now I do have my property configured over here. This is my dependency for the human being, for the human class, for the human object. There is a dependency called heart, and this particular dependency I have configured it over here. Right now I'm going to remove the dependency. If I'm going to remove the dependency, if I'll do Control S, right now this human object does not configure the dependency. So right now for this human object, the dependency has not been configured. So if the dependency has not been configured, then Spring is not going to insert the value for the heart. By default it will be null, and if I'll be running this particular program, okay, you are dead, right? Because the heart object it will not get. So right now what I'll do, I'm going to tell you an exciting feature of Spring, okay? And the feature name is what? The feature name is Autowiring, okay? So here you are explicitly doing this thing, right? Here you are explicitly putting this property in, you are configuring the property. But how about if I'll not do the configuration by myself? So I will remove it and I'll tell Spring that, hey Spring, you check if my human.java class, if my human class has any property, has any dependency, you automatically wire it up. You automatically inject the object for that. I don't need to manually configure the thing over here by doing like this thing, right? So how to do that? Right now I'm removing it once again, okay? Right now my for my human class there is no property configured, right? So I'll do what? I'll use a Spring feature called Autowiring, right? Autowire, and as you can see by default it is set to no, right? There are a few properties. If you do a control space here, then you can see no default constructor bytype byname. No, by default it is set to no, and default is of no use. I'll be talking about that later. First of all, let's talk about the byname property. I'll go with the byname. So if I change the Autowire to byname, right now what is going to happen? So if I'm going to my body.java class, right, and if I'm going to run it, do you think this program is going to run and our heart object will be injected? See, here we have a heart object and here we are configuring our human object. For this human object we are telling Spring that, hey Spring, if you find any of the dependency here in the human class like heart, you don't wait for me to configure it. You only inject the object to this particular reference, right? You only give a object to this like new heart, right? So how can we do that? Is this thing is going to work? If I'm going to body.java, if I'm going to run it, let's see what is going to happen. Okay, you are dead. That means still it is not injecting. But guys, there is nothing wrong in this particular program. You are almost done, right? So let's inject the value again and let's see what's going wrong over here. The only thing you need to understand that when you are going to go with the Autowire by name approach, you have to take care of only one thing. If it is by name, go to your human.java class. So in the line number 5, this is your dependency, right? What is the name of your dependency? What is the variable name? What is the reference variable name? The name of the variable is heart, right? So you need to do what? You need to come to your bins.xml file, give the ID name as heart, right? Instead of heart object, I'll just give the ID name as same as this one, right? I'll do what? I'll do copy, and I'll go to my bins.xml file, and instead of the heart object, I'll give the ID name as Control V, heart, right? There you go, nothing else. Right now, only thing I did is the bin name over here. What is the bin name? Bin name is heart, or the ID, what you are saying. The name of the ID is heart, and the reference name. What is the reference variable name? Heart. This and this. Only I have messed the name, right? Right now let's go to body.java, and right now let's run this particular program and let's see what's happening. And you can see the result. Your heart is pumping alive. So right now you have injected the object to this particular variable, right? Like you have injected the object to this by something like this new heart, right? You made a heart implementation, right? You have done this thing, right, by using Spring and by not configuring the property over here inside this human class. But the human class has a dependency, but we are not setting the dependency explicitly by putting the property tag like we used to do it, like property, right, name equal to xyz, then the ref equal to some reference value, right? This thing we are not doing it, and we are not going to do it at all after this because we got this auto wiring feature. Spring is going to automatically check, okay, this human class does have a dependency called heart, and whenever Spring is going to create the object for human class, bin means object. Whenever Spring is going to create the object for human class, at that time it is going to see this command, hey, do the auto wiring by name. So Spring is going to check, okay, so there is a dependency called heart inside the human class, and this heart I need to match with any of the bin present inside this bin.xml file whose ID is also heart. So there is a bin configured over here whose ID is also heart, right? So it is going to create the object for this, and for this object it is going to take and it is going to inject that particular object to here, right? So it's something like this, the same thing, only it is going to create the object for this, what we can say, heart equal to new heart, and by using the setter injection, it is going to inject this particular object to this, okay, whenever it is creating the human class object. So to make sure this setter method is getting called, I can do this out over here. I'll say setter method called, right? Okay, if I go to body.java, let's check this out. There you go, setter method called. So how Spring is going to inject your object? It is injecting your object by using the setter method only, right? But the thing to notate over here is we are not doing property, name, ref equal to something. We're not doing that stuff. It is as simple as that. You're getting it? All okay? Going good? You understand how I did it for by name, right? The ID name and the reference variable name both need to send. All right, good. Let's go to the next concept. Okay, so right now let's go for the next concept, and this concept is a bit more simpler than the last thing. If you understand that, then this one will be nothing for you guys. So let's say right now, guys, as I said, if this and the ID of the bin, the name of the bin, this, it is going to match, at that time only the wiring is happening, because we have written over here Autowire by name, right? But what about if I change something to heart object, right? Let's say heart object value, right? Now what will happen? Now let's check the variable name and the ID. Is this matching? No, it's not matching. If it is not matching what the command you have given over here for the auto wiring, you are saying, hey Spring, whenever you are finding the ID name and the variable name, they both are same, at that time only do the injection. But at that time the ID name and this name is not same. So if you are going to body.java and if you are going to run this particular program, obviously the object will not be injected to your heart dependency, right? To your heart dependency. At that time, if you have a scenario like this, okay, you cannot change the ID. Okay, your boss said, hey, the ID name should be that only. Okay, but you have to do the auto wiring. So how you are going to do it? So at that time, that is another approach. See, here the heart variable name, this is of what type? This is of what type? The type is heart. Type means class. Think like this. This is of what type? Heart type, right? The heart is of heart type. This is the variable name. This variable name is the type of heart. Heart is a class, right? So this is the class, and also in the beans.xml you are also configuring the class, right? So this class is of what? Heart class, right? For heart class only you are configuring the bean over here, right? This bean belongs to which class? Heart class, right? So here class equal to heart. So this is heart, and the dependency that you have inside the human, the name of the variable is heart and the type is heart. So this and this, if this is matching, right, you can do by type. So hey Spring, create the object and do the dependency whenever the autowire is equal to by type, right? By type means the class name and the class name, right? This need to match, the type need to match. Right now, if I go to body.java and if I'm going to run this particular program, 100% be sure that you are going to be alive. I'm sorry, I'm going to be alive. Let's say this guy is me. Okay, this human is me. I shouldn't be saying that. Okay, so there we go, right? And how this thing is happening, how Spring is injecting your object by using the setter injection only, by using this set heart method, right? So you can see the setter method is getting called. So very simple. Whatever the thing you used to do manually, that the same thing Spring is doing. It is creating the object for human equal to new human. It is creating the object for heart object value equal to new heart, and then it is going to use the setter injection to inject the value for this heart object. So it is going to do what? Human dot this particular setter method, okay, and it is going to pass the object of this, right? Got it? Got it? By type means the type need to match. By name means the name need to match. The ID name and the variable name. And here the variable type and the class type that you are defining in your beans.xml, right? Very simple, right? And this is up to type. Two type we understood, right? By name and by type. So what about by constructor? There is another one over here called by constructor. The name says it all. You already guessed it, I know. And in this time you are saying, hey Spring, do the dependency injection automatically when you find a constructor for the dependency. Okay, so right now if I'm going to save this and if I'm going to run this body.java, will this particular program is going to run? Let's check this out. No, you are dead. Why it is happening? Because you are saying that, hey, use a constructor to do the dependency injection. So right now, is there a constructor present here inside the human class? No, there is no constructor present, right? So let me do what? Let me resize my code, Command A, Control Shift F. Okay, so there is no constructor right now present over here, right? Only the setter is present over here. So right now we need to create a constructor for this particular, dependency to inject, right? So what I can do over here right now, I can create a constructor. I am going to do a right click, go to what is that, source, then generate constructor using field, and I'll hit OK. There you go. So I got a constructor over here. Let me remove this. So you know about constructor, the class name and the constructor name is always same. So here it is, my constructor. Let me clear up some white spaces here. And right now I think you can see everything in my screen, right? Command Shift F. Okay, I think it is already ready. And there you go. Okay, simple, right? So right now what I'm going to do, if right now I have a constructor here for the human class, and this particular constructor does the same thing like the setter, right? It is the setting the heart object to this. So right now if I'll go to my bins.xml file, the Autowire type I have defined is constructor. So hey Spring, so whenever you find the constructor for the dependency, do the injection, right? So I do have the constructor over here for the human class, which is taking the heart class object as a parameter and setting that to this, right? Very simple. So right now let me go to body.java and let me run it, and let's see what is happening. And there you go, you can see your heart is pumping and alive. That means your object is automatically get injected to your reference by Spring, and all thanks to the Autowire concept of Spring. It is making your day useful, right, and more productive. So guys, these are the three different things about the auto-wiring concept, right? And if you are clear on this, then the next thing that I'm going to tell you, this will be just like a joke for you, right? It will be very, very simple. But before you go ahead, something I want to tell you guys. See, think like if my human class has so many dependency, right? Let's say 20 dependency. And if I'm using the Autowire concept over here, that's fine. Spring is going to do all those things for me. But wait, if I want to understand the application, right? If I have a defect, if I have a problem, so for debugging purpose, it will be very, very difficult because I cannot see anything, any configuration I do not have over here. So if you have more number of bins, like 100 bins, 200 bins, or more than that, then do configure everything manually, because that is going to make your life easy. But if you have very less amount of dependency present inside a class, just like 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, then you can use this Autowire approach, because you don't need to configure anything explicitly here, and Spring is going to do all the injection for you guys free of cost. And Spring is very polite, right? It is doing all the things for us. But don't misutilize it, otherwise it will be a problem for you guys, right, in a real-time application. So that's it. That's all about the Autowire concept, and that's how you need to configure it in the XML, right? So there you go. So right now, let's talk about what? Let's talk about the @Autowire annotation. If you understand this, that thing will be nothing for you, right? So what I'm going to do, the annotation is going to work same as this particular thing inside the XML. It is also can do the by name, by type, by constructor stuff. We can do this in the Java side. In the Java side only, we are going to use the annotation. We are not going to write like this. I'm going to remove this Autowire equal to constructor over here. Still, I want to do the injection, right? So how can I do it? I'll just go to the human.java class, and before this particular constructor, I'll do what? @Autowire, right? I'll make this @Autowire, and that's it. Got it? So this is it. Your program is done, right? You don't need to do it over there in the bins.xml file. I removed this thing, okay, and this thing, this Autowire stuff, I configured in the Java side. I went to the constructor, and before the constructor, I have written @Autowire, right? So that's it. You are done. But if I run this particular program, the program is done. You don't need to think anything else, right? Right now, let's see our application is running or there is any problem, right? So let's run it. Oh no, you are getting a lot of exception. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of exception. Let's check this out. So if I open this console here, then you can see it is saying error creating bean name human defined in the class path resource, and it is saying instantiation bean failed. Nested exception, this bin instantiation exception. It is saying no default constructor found. Why we got this exception? If you know core Java, na guys, this will be very easy. Okay, so it is saying that human class, human object, it cannot create because it does not have a default constructor. Why? Because forget about this Autowire concept right now, because I'll tell you what is the problem, right? But let's first understand why we got that particular error. So in the beans.xml file, whenever you are creating this particular object, right? Whenever you are creating the human object, okay, and if it is looking for a default constructor, first of all, suppose it is trying to create an object like human equal to new human. At that time, it need a default constructor, right? New human, that human constructor, it need that default constructor, right? So do we have a default constructor present over here inside the human class? Check over here. We have not created any default constructor over here. We have one parameter constructor present over here, which takes a heart object, but we do not have a default constructor. Do you remember the default constructor? If you're not going to override the constructor, the default constructor will be created by the JVM. But if you are overriding the constructor over here, the default constructor JVM will not create it for you. Hey, if you are creating or if you are overriding the constructor, means your job only, you have to create the default constructor. So let me create the default constructor over here, human constructor, and there you go. I got a default constructor over here right now. Okay, so now let's run this particular program and let's see is it running or not. Right now it is saying you are dead. Right now we are coming back to the actual task here. So now it's saying you are dead, but I said, guys, the program is correct, right? This is how only you need to do the Autowire configuration whenever you are talking about @Autowire annotation. In the Java side, we need to use this @Autowire annotation, that's it. But why it is not working? Because guys, as I said, by default the Autowire is off. We need to make it on. To make it on, we need to go to the beans.xml file. Okay, so how to make it on? To make it on, I will use a another element called context, right? Say context control space, but wait, nothing is coming, right? Context and context element is also not coming. Why it is not coming? Whenever I'm typing here bean is coming, right? But why context is not coming? If it is not coming, how I'm going to use it? It is not coming because here we have not defined the namespace for the context. Like we have defined the namespace for bean is coming, bean element you are coming. Like that, you have to define the namespace for context, right? So again, I need to go to my Spring jars and the Spring installation file that I have downloaded. I need to go to that. Okay, so here I'm inside my Spring jars that I have downloaded from the Spring site, and I'll go to, let's say I'll go to docs, I'll go to Spring Framework references, I'll go to HTML5 and I'll click on core.html, and from here only I'm going to copy those stuff, right? Because I'm going to be a little lazy over here. Okay, I'm going to do Control F and I have already searched it, and I'll search for /context. I'll hit enter here and there you go. So this is for the context. I'm going to copy all this thing, right? Up to bin, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to my Eclipse and I'm going to replace this with the new one that I have copied, and there you go, right? So right now you can see here I do have context namespace here, right? I have a namespace for beans and as well as the context, right? So right now let's say context. Now the context is coming, right? Context annotation config, and that's it, nothing else. Context annotation config, open it and close it. If you want, you can do like this, slash here. That's done, right? Now this is open and close, this done. Now your annotation is activated. Now if you go to body.java and if you are going to run this particular program, let's see it is working or not. There you go. Your heart is pumping alive. Congratulations, you have done it by using the @autowire annotation. If I remove it, do Control S, come here, run it. Oops, you are dead, right? So before the setter inject, before the constructor only, I'm putting the @autowire. So my constructor is getting called. This constructor is getting called, right? Sys out. I'll say human constructor is getting called, which has heart as argument. Okay. So if I go to body, if I'm going to run this again, then you are going to get that in the console to make sure that that particular constructor is getting executed and your auto wiring is happening by the constructor, right? As simple as that, isn't it? Okay, so now let's do it for the setter. Okay, let's put the @autowire annotation before the setter and let's see what is happening. Alright guys, so as of now we have done with the autowired by constructor in annotation approach. Right now let's do with the autowired by name or by type. Forget about that. I'm going to use the @autowire annotation before the setter method and let's see what is going to happen. So if you come to the bins.xml file, just to make sure, I haven't set the dependency for our human class, right? So human class is one dependency and that dependency I'm not setting in the bins.xml file. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the setter method for this particular dependency. Where the setter method is present for this particular dependency, here it is. So I'm going to move this @autowire constructor from here to here. I'm going to do a Control S and I'm going to run this application. What is going to happen? Do you think it is going to run? Let's check this out. There you go. Okay, it is running fine, right? Setter method is called, your heart is pumping and you are alive. Setter method is called, make you sure that this is actually using this particular set heart method to inject the heart object to the actual heart object, which is this dot heart, and this dot heart is what? This one, right? Clear? So this is how we're using @autowire before the setter method. But right now here is a puzzle, right? And I'm not going to make you puzzle around this because this is very simple. Don't be confused. It will be very simple. I shouldn't be saying this word, don't be confused, because when we say don't be confused, you start being confused for nothing, right? So this is very simple, guys. Again, it is kind of a 10th standard thing, right? So if you talk about @autowire, right now this @autowire I'm using before the setter injection, right? Before the setter method. So right now I'll ask you a question. What do you think? What approach this is following to inject the heart object to this? Is it following the by type or the by name approach? We know about the by type and the by name approach as of now, right? We know that by name means the variable name and the ID name of the bean need to match, right? And by type means the type of the variable, the type of the reference, that means the class name or the interface, whatever, the type of that particular, you see over here, the type of this is heart. And if we have a bean called heart configure there in our beans.xml file, at that time, it is going to inject the dependency. But right now, what is happening? First of all, here I do have a different ID. That means this ID and this ID is not matching. That means by name is not happening, right? Because it is not matching. But this class, okay, the heart and this heart, this is matching. The class is, the type is matching, right? If the type is matching, by what approach this is happening? By type, right? It is very simple. In the setter injection right now, when we are putting the @autowire annotation, this @autowire annotation first try to resolve the thing by using the by type, and then it is going to go for the by name. First of all, over here, what is the type of this heart? I mean, the type of the heart is heart, right? This is the class actually heart. Now, is there a bean already configured in the beans.xml file which type is heart? Yes, there is a type already configured where the class name is heart. Then there is a match found. No need to go for by name. By type is matching. If the by type is matching, means Spring is going to use the by type approach over here. Very simple, right? So if I go to body.java and if I'm going to run it, is it working? I mean, this is working, as usual. Okay, so all good. But right now you might question me, right? That, hey Vilas, I understand that this @autowire annotation first try to resolve the thing by using the by type approach, right? If the by type is failing, then it is going to work for the, resolve the thing by using the by name approach. Can you show me an example where is actually using the by name? We're going to do that right now. So right now, this thing is working as by type because this heart and this heart is matching, right? So now let's fail the system. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the bean over here, no problem with that, and I'm going to create a new bean. I'm going to create a new object for the same class heart again, and this time let's say this is human heart and this is octopus heart. Octopus, POUS, octopus heart. Okay, right now how many heart class object I do have here? So right now I do have two objects for the same class, right? This is heart, this is also heart. Something like heart, human heart equal to new heart, heart, octopus heart equal to new heart. Two heart class object I have, right? Heart class object being configured for 2 times over here. So right now, if I come to human.java, I'm giving the @autowire annotation. First, Spring is going to resolve the thing by using the by type, right? So this comes to the beans.xml file. Okay, so what is the type of this particular variable? The type is heart, right? The type is over here, heart, right? So it is going to show the same heart over there in the beans.xml file. Okay, is there a bean configured over here which says the heart class? Well, there is one, but wait, there is another one. There are 2 different bean for the same heart class, so I cannot resolve it which one to use because there are 2 different objects. One is human heart, one is octopus heart. So which one to use? Spring got confused. Right now Spring is going to do what? Spring says, okay, so by type is failing, but I do have another one, right? I have a resolved solution for this, and I'm going to use the by name approach right now. So what is your variable name? Your variable name is heart, right? Your variable name is heart, you can see, right? For this only you are creating the setter, right? So your variable name is heart. So this heart, it is going to match with the ID name. So is there a ID present here called heart? No, it is not here. It is not here as well. Now this is also failing. By type failed because there are 2 different objects for the heart class, right? By name failed because there is no name matching with heart over here in the bean ID, right? So this is also failing. Right now by type also failed, by name also failed. Right now if I'm going to run this body.java class, then you can see it is giving me a lot of exception. It is saying what? Let's try to understand right now. It is saying what? It is saying that error creating the bean name with human unsatisfied dependency expressed through set heart parameter 0. Let's talk about the actual exception. No unique bean definition exception. Now here we go. No qualifying bean for type com.selenium express.autowire.heart. For this heart class, there is no qualified bean available. Now see the actual exception. Expected a single matching bean, but found 2. Okay, where it is? Expected a single matching bean but found 2. So it is actually expecting one bean, one object to present, but there is 2. One is a human heart, one is octopus heart. There is 2 bean available. There is 2 object available in our beans.xml file. So it is failing. That's what Spring is all has to say about this particular exception. So right now it is our duty to handle it. So our by name is also failing, by type is also failing. So first let's resolve this particular problem. If I'm going to go to human.java, I'm going to copy this name and I'll go to beans.xml file, and for this human heart, if I'm going to paste it over here, if I'm going to give the ID name and this one as same, right now if I'm going to body.java, right now if I'm going to run this is going to work, because it is by name is happening, right? By type is failing because there are 2 different objects that we are configuring over here in the beans.xml file, heart and octopus heart. So first of all, whenever this Autowirng is looking for the by type, it is finding 2 different implementation over here, so this is failing. Then again it is checking for by name. Wait, this name and this name is matching. This name and this name is matching, right? In the setter also you can see the name is matching, right? This is heart and that is also the bean name is also heart. Okay, then the match found. By type failed, but by name is happening, right? So it is going to pick this one, okay, and going to inject this particular object to here, right? And right now if I'm going to run this particular application, let's see what is happening. Setter method, your heart is pumping, you are alive. You got the point? By name and by type, all good, right? You are clear as of now. Okay, so we have understood a lot of concept today, right? This is the only last thing which is pending is about the @qualifier annotation and where we need it and why we need that @qualifier annotation, okay, or @qualifier thing, why we need that in Spring, right? So that's the thing that I'm going to talk about right now, and before I go for that, let me come back to my beans.xml file, and here you can see the 2 bean that I have set over here is one is octopus heart and one is human heart. The human heart name I have changed because I want the Autowire to be happen by name, because by type was failing because there are 2 different types is available over here for the same class. So I have taken the name over here. Right now this name that I messed there, I'm going to change it to human heart only, because if I'm going to put something like this, it is not that readable, right? So my boss told me, hey, make it human heart only, right? And if I am making it human heart over here, by name also it is failing because this and this it is not matching, and by type is also failing because there are 2 different class over here. So what I'm going to do over here, because my by name is also failing, by type is also failing. So what is the solution over here I can give when I do have multiple implementation or multiple objects when I have for the same class, and if the ID is also different, how to resolve this kind of scenario? Okay, so what I can do right now, before I do any modification, I'll go to heart.java. In the heart, let's add few properties. Okay, let's have some fun here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a string called name of animal, okay, and I am going to create another variable here called int, and for this int the variable name I'll give is number of heart. Okay, so this is the 2 property also I want to configure. Sorry, this is a variable. Okay, these are the 2 property I want to configure. for my heart object. So whenever I am creating my heart object, heart equal to new heart, I want to say heart dot set name, set animal name is human, heart dot set number of heart equal to 2. Sorry, for human we have only one number of heart. So like that, if this is a different animal like octopus, let's say the name will be octopus and the number of heart will be, for octopus we have 3 hearts, I think probably octopus has 3 heart. And so what I can do right now to set these properties, I'm going to use the setter injection. So source, generate getters and setters. I'm going to generate everything this time, generate both the getters and setters, and there you go. I'm going to select everything, Control Shift F to resize over here. So I do have my 2 variable over here, and I have all the getters and setters for all these 2 variables, and as usual I have a pump method. So right now I want to set this particular properties dependency of this heart class over there when I'm creating the heart object. So when I'm creating the heart object, I'll go over here to the bins.xml file. So here I'm creating the heart object. So I'm not going to explicitly end it over here, rather I'm going to use /bin to end it. And this let's say this is a human heart, right? For human heart I'm going to define the property, let's say a property. And what is the name of the property? The name of the property will be for heart name of animal. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to come over here, do a Control V, and the value for the name of the animal is, let's say, human, because this is a human class object. And I'm going to end the property tag over here, and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here, and this time the name will be what? The name will be number of heart. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to come over here, going to paste it, and the value will be of how many number of heart we have for human? 1 heart only. Okay, so you have only 1 number of heart, don't break it. So the next thing, I'm going to do the same thing for the octopus heart as well. So I'm going to end the bin over here and the bin over here. I'm going to copy all this property from this one, and for this heart object I'm going to set the different properties, right? This will be octopus, and the number of heart will be I think for octopus the number of heart will be 3. Okay, there you go. So you might be thinking, hey Vilash, here why you are writing the property tag inside the heart? Okay, in the heart class also has some dependency, right? Why you are setting this dependency by using the property tag, right? You said, right, you are teaching us autowiring, so you should not be using this property tag. But why are you using it? Because these are primitive type, these are primitive and string type, right? And for primitive and string type, autowire is not possible, right? Somebody commented, who the hell disliked this video? Oh no, thank you very much for saying that, but don't say somebody to like this, because if somebody don't like a video, he can dislike, right? Okay, so for the primitive type and for the string type, autowiring is not possible. Autowiring is only possible for the object only. Right? So here these are the primitive types and the int types, and this is what we have configured it over here, right, in the heart. Right now we have a human heart and we have a octopus heart, right? So which heart you need in the human.java class? So you have 2 objects. One is human heart object, one is octopus heart object. Here you have 2 different implementation of heart. So here for heart you have 2 different objects. So by type will be fell, and name is also not matching with the variable name over here, right? So the autowire is going to fail. If I'm going to do the autowire in the setter only, I'm putting the autowire, and if I'm going to run it, it is going to fail for sure, right? Because both the condition is failing. So right now I'm going to explicitly tell Spring that, hey Spring, here I do have multiple implementation, and for the multiple implementation I need to use an annotation called qualifier to let Spring know what particular object it needs to do the dependency injection, right? What particular object it need to inject to the heart. So this is what I'm going to tell Spring. So I'm going to pick the human heart from here, Control C, and I'm going to paste the human heart inside the qualifier annotation, and I'm going to run the body.java, and this time it is not going to fail. See, setter method is calling, your heart is pumping and you are alive. Right now let's call the property that we have set for the human heart. For the human heart we have set this property, right? Name of the animal is human, number of heart is 1, so let's call this property. So inside the pump method I'm also going to print out, let's say sysout, and let's say name of the animal is, and I'll write what heart is my reference dot get name of the animal and plus, and I'll write here number of heart present, and I'm going to say plus heart dot number of heart present set, sorry, get, let's say get number of heart. Okay, get number of heart. There you go, right? Why I'm getting an error? Because I missed a plus sign over here, and there you go. So I have printed it, right? So what object that I'm injecting over here? Human heart object, right? So if I'll go to my embody.java class, and if I'm going to run this application, you are going to say setter method is calling because you are using the @autowire annotation before the setter method. That's why it's using the setter injection. So then the next thing is your heart is pumping, you are alive, the name of the animal is human, and the number of heart present is 1, right? I think you got the point why we are using the @qualifier annotation, right? So when you have multiple objects, right, you have multiple implementation, which one to use, which object to use, which implementation to use. If Spring is get confused, do a @qualifier annotation after the Autowire and put the exact object you want. So suppose I want to inject the octopus object over here. So I should not be doing it because it's a human class. For the human class I need to only give the human class object. Let's say I want to inject the octopus heart to a human. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to copy this ID and I'll go to human.java, and here in the qualifier I'm going to change this qualifier to octopus heart, right? Right now if I'm going to run this application, I'm going to save the bins.xml file. Now let's say your heart is alive, the name of the animal is octopus, and the number of heart present is 3, right? So right now we're using the octopus object that we have created inside the bins.xml. It's just simple, but I should not be doing it, right? It is a human class, so we should be injecting the human class object, right? Because I'm going to check in this code to Git, and I don't want somebody to confuse to see this code. Why this human has a octopus heart, right? Human should have a human heart only, right? Okay, so why is still not working? If I'll go to bins.xml file, I'll copy this, I'll come over here to the human.java. Okay, I need to change it to human heart, and let me run this again. Okay, cool. So the animal name is human and the heart present is 1. So right now probably I'm guessing you are clear with autowiring, how to configure with XML, what is the different type of autowiring we have, like by type, by name, by constructor, and how to configure autowiring in the Java end by putting the @autowire annotation, and how the @autowire annotation is getting used, how it is resolving by using the bytype and the byname, and what type of approach it is for using first, and then how it is resolving the conflict by using the byname, and what is the @qualifier annotation when we need to use it. Okay, I think you got this concept clear, right? And there you go. And yes, one last thing that I want to tell you before I wrap up. Okay, here I'm using the @autowire and @qualifier before the setter setter method, right? So I'm going to cut this one, okay, and right now I'm going to use this before the dependency, right? Before the variable only I'm going to use it. So right now if I'm going to run this application, if I'll go to body.java and if I'm going to run this application, it is going to run as expected. But wait, one thing you can notice over here, that inside the setter method you did put a logging statement here, setter method called, but in the output console you cannot see that sentence. So one thing we got to know, that it is not logging our setter method statement here. So what if I'm going to remove all the setter, constructor, and the default constructor that I have configured over here? I'm going to removing everything here. I just have the dependency here. Right now, if I am coming to body.java, if I'm running it, you can see the magic. Well, it's running, right? So I do not have to generate a setter in this case if I am writing the add autowire before the dependency. And if I'm removing this stuff over here, and if I'm doing Control S, and if I'm trying to run this particular program, yeah, there you go, you are dead, because no object is getting injected, right? But thing is, the autowire concept is same, right? First it is going to check for the by type, and then it is going to check for the by name. Okay, so I'm going to explore more about this in the coming videos, but for now, at Autowire first looks for the by type if there is any conflict, then it is going to look for the by name. Okay, so that's the formula, that's the fundamental. Okay, so this is the concept for you guys. I think you already got it. I'm also getting tired because it's a long session for me, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this session. Now I think my energy is down. I shouldn't be talking more because you guys will be bored. So that's it for today's tutorial. Don't forget to like this tutorial if you really enjoyed it, and if you don't, then let me know, okay, what part you want me to improve, what the improvement that you want to see from me, right? You can let me know there. And if you want to tell me any new thing, feel free to post that in the comment section, or you can write me a mail at seleniumexpress@gmail.com, or you can just message me in the Facebook page. I mean, in my Selenium Express Facebook page, which is Facebook/Selenium Express, right? So do let me know what you think about this tutorial. Please post a comment and let me know. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching it, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding.